center. And today, I will tell you about the various aspects of digitalization in Estonia. I want to give big thanks to the Global Digital Week for having me speaking about e-governance. So now, could you imagine a communication with your government as simple as using iPhone's application? If you want future money, make simple environments. This is what we in Estonia believe in. But let's talk about the roots of all of this. I suppose the question on everyone's mind is why digitalization happened here. There are several factors that came together in the end. Estonia is a sparsely populated country with relatively small population and had a small government budget of around 130 million euros when it regained independence in 1991. Quite frankly, it couldn't offer traditional bureaucratic structures because of a lack of money and manpower. Another factor may very well have been the Estonian culture. You see, Estonians are not the most talkative people on earth. So for us, digitalization could save not just time and money, but also the need to interact with people at government offices. Estonia has implemented a system called Digital by Default. This means that government authorities were asked to offer their offline services online in a digital format as well. Still, it is important to note that people are not forced to use these things online. It's just that most people choose to use the digital route instead because it usually saves them a lot of time and some money as well. As you can see, these developments to turn digital were based on bare necessity, as much as forward-thinking mindset. So the digital-minded leadership is essential because, of course, there were some challenges. When Estonia started building its information society about 2.5 decades ago, there was no digital data being collected about its citizens. The general population did not have an internet connection, let alone the devices which to use it. It took great courage to invest in IT solutions and take the information technology route. But I am very, very proud of our decision makers because this has brought us to be the leaders of e-governance right now. Benefits. How do we really benefit from digitalization? There are only a few examples of money and time saved when using online services. Thanks to having 99% of the services online, we can benefit from fast transactions. The banking sector was one of the first private services that was tied to electronic identity because it was much more effective to use safe authentication provided with the government-issued electronic identity than to issue another authentication method by the banks themselves. Declaring taxes is really the prime example of one of the most popular e-service in Estonia, as it only takes 3 minutes to file a pre-filled declaration form. And I'm really happy to be talking about this because February is our tax declaration month. The tax board is in charge of collecting all my data needed, and I only need to confirm that the data presented is indeed correct. In case of filing the declaration online, I can expect tax return in a matter of weeks, really. when filing the declaration, the classical on paper form, which of course is still available, I should wait for the excess tax to be returned, let's say for months, much longer time. Another statistics, digital signature can have economical save of around 2% of the national GDP, which is equivalent to the security commitment Estonia is investing to NATO. Moreover, thousands of years in working time is saved thanks to the interoperability of the data through X-Road, which I will introduce you in more detail very, very soon. Optimized procedures and digitalization saves us valuable working time that can be put in, for example, building unique businesses instead. In fact, the only two things you cannot do online in Estonia is marriage and divorce. Well, at least for now. Now that I've touched a bit on the fundamental principles of Estonia, it's time to talk about how these things were put into practice and how it is possible to consume all these services online. One of the cornerstones is undoubtedly the electronic ID, which enables Estonian citizens and residents alike to prove their identity online, benefit from convenient, safe, and fast, hassle-free e-services. We've got this card since 2002. Every citizen and resident will receive a unique ID code that is the reference of their electronic identity. Nearly every one of Estonia's 1.3 million citizens and residents has an ID card, which is a mandatory national card with a chip that carries embedded files and functions as definite proof of ID in an electronic environment. The ID card serves as a physical identification document as well, so I can travel with it in the Schengen area, for example, in Europe. However, if I happen to lose my ID card, no harm can be done to my identity only by possessing the card. It is so thanks to the two-key authentication process through PIN codes that only the card owner, me, knows. To be able to use ID card as an electronic ID authentication method, one needs to connect the card to the card reader. Thanks to the electronic identity, I can prove the validity of my driving or fishing license, should I have it, with the same ID card or by prescribed medicine from the pharmacy. But the utility is not at all limited only to government services. The ID card serves as a loyalty card replacement and prevents me from carrying a wallet full of plastic cards from different businesses. This is why so many citizens and residents choose to use the ID card regularly, because they simplify their lives. If authentication process using physical elements, I mean the ID card and the card reader, seems too much of a hassle for you, a comfortable app-based smart ID solution is also available that has similar security standards in place as authentication with the ID card itself. The architect of certification services for the government-issued ID cards is an Estonian company, SK ID Solutions, who made the digital authentication service also available in all the Baltic countries to provide the same safe electronic identity and digital signature possibilities. That enables more countries to benefit from the online services and authentication methods that are based on the strongest identity Estonia is using since 2002. Another really important backbone of the digital society is our X-Road. Estonian governmental bodies operate on once only principle, which means that the data collected about the citizen is asked only once by the authorized entity and then exchanged with the citizen's explicit consent with other databases or registries entitled to know the data as well. For example, my home address is stored only in the population register. And if I consume any service that requires my address, the population register needs to provide it. This is how it is possible to declare my taxes in just 3 minutes that I was explaining before, without me stressing over it or without me having to pay accountant fees. Now, when you think about all the data exchange that is happening between the hundreds of different government servers, you might think, how can we ensure the efficiency and the safety of these data exchanges? It is the software backbone built by the top-notch experts in cybernetica that encrypts and transfers our data. It works like an open source highway for data traffic. X-Road interconnects public and private databases which are held in a distributed manner. This decentralized approach means that there is not one big super database, which could be extremely attractive for hackers. All data transfers are endpoint to endpoint encrypted. And we can see that we are on the right track with this principle because many other countries have gotten on board with our solution. The X-Road ecosystem is incredibly valuable, as mentioned before, saves enormous amount of working hours for civil servants and allows interoperability of all the collected data and connected e-services. So here on the slide, you already see the current Latin America situation. The purples have X-Road implemented and the blues are in the consultation phase as we currently speak. This is managed by Nordic Institute for Interoperability Solutions that ensures the development of digital society solutions and cross-border cooperation to provide other countries similar digital government infrastructure that Estonia uses today. The X-Road is our busiest highway since 2001 that is an essential part next to the electronic identity that allows us to use a wide range of interconnected e-services faster, more convenient, and safer. However, we talked about electronic identity before. I have to mention there is one more method of electronic identity existing today that literally everyone listening today can have as well. It's called the e-residency card, and in many ways it is the culmination of many of Estonia's previous efforts. Estonia started this project in 2014 and thus became the first and still the only country in the world to establish global e-residency. So e-residency is perfect for people who want to set up a business on Estonian legal soil, therefore meaning inside the European single market, and also give digital signatures that are legally binding, just like the Estonian citizens and residents can give with their ID cards. With this solution, we solve different problems for people living in different countries. People from non-EU countries are interested in having a EU-based company because they want to make use of the digital signature, and creating and running a company might be really more expensive, bureaucratic, time-consuming in their own country. By now, we have e-residents from more than 160 countries who have created over 13,000 companies in Estonia. Imagine more than 88,000 e-residents, of whom many have never physically set foot in Estonia ever, but have companies here. Being a country with 1.3 million inhabitants has its limits when it comes to economical growth. So Estonia made a strategical decision not to limit the business opportunities only those inside our territorial borders, but widen the entrepreneurial environment to the entire world using digital tools. And here, of course, I think that you have been looking with the corner table about the Latin American countries that have e-residents. Impressive. The amount of businesses they have created, many of whom probably never visited Estonia. But I must mention, bear in mind, please, that the digital identity is not the physical identification. It's not a travel document, no visa or citizenship. And also, it does not display a photo. So the e-residency gives you the digital identity, but not a physical identification possibility. So how do we start? Estonian society wasn't born digital, and we had to start teaching information literacy to students with the Tiger Leap, and to the elderly with Look at World programs to help them learn to consume e-services. Estonia aims to implement modern digital technology more efficiently and effectively in learning and teaching as well, to improve the digital skills of the entire nation. Estonia has also adopted a lifelong learning strategy because the modern world needs more tech-savvy users. Thus, both state and the private sector companies offer a variety, and often they are free, IT courses for enthusiasts of any age. This gives the opportunity for people to educate themselves and increase their IT skills while making it easier to make the necessary changes in their career choices and make e-services as a natural part of their lives. They need to learn to use these services, and as a country, we need to help all of our citizens and residents. Advanced technology to resist cyber attacks exists already. I would say the weakest link is the person using the technology, the final link. Therefore, it is essential to teach cyber hygiene as well, and especially to the government workers. So let me tell you that when I started to work in my current position in the Estonian Briefing Center, I too had to take a cyber hygiene test, not to pass an exam in a way, but to point out my possible weaknesses, so I and the IT department could strengthen them to avoid unnecessary leaks or any risk behavior. Estonian company Cybex Technologies offer a safe training software where personnel can use interactive simulations, and fill cyber hygiene tests, similar to what I did as well, to assess their risk behavior, and thanks to that, become more aware. Again, no one is born with a digital gene, and forming new digital habits needs support and is not immediate. Developing skills takes time, as we are still working on it over 20 years later from implementing e-services. However, just because it is complicated and time-consuming doesn't mean we shouldn't put the effort in developing the astonishing skills that is fundamental in forming the digital habits of the people. So when you see all this, you might wonder, what does the future have in store for Estonia? Well, it is clear that Estonia is doing its best to remain an innovative, efficient, successful northern country that leads by example. Here are some of the plans that are in the works as we speak. One of the big steps is to create what we call proactive government services. Even though 99% of public services are available digitally at this point already, it would make citizens' lives even easier if government would automatically approach them when it knows that they are entitled to a certain service. This would also further decrease the burden of bureaucracy for both the people and the state. The first of these services actually came online in October 2019. Since then, parents automatically get a notification after their child is born to ask them to which bank account they would like their child benefits transferred. That is because in Estonia, the child benefits are universal and every new parent is entitled to them. So why should I spend the valuable time to communicate with my country when my country could take a proactive attitude and offer this service to me so I could deal with what matters most, my newborn baby? Another big trend is that of seamless services and live events centered around particular situations, bringing the different kinds of information from different authorities and databases to make life easier for us. This means with maximum one interaction, or ideally even none, that it would work automatically using artificial intelligence in prediction and processing the data. Compared to the current e-services, the new seamless services are supposed to function automatically and be more user-centered by providing voice-based interaction with an AI virtual assistant. When new bureaucrat, the network of virtual assistants will be implemented, it works as a gateway that a person can turn to without knowing which institution they have to interact with. Bureaucrats will lead you to the corresponding service. Similarly, like Siri or Alexa could assist you, but on a much bigger scale of e-services. And another topic for the upcoming decades is the cross-border digital governance. Estonia is the first in the world to interconnect decentralized components of state and public sector databases on an international level via the X-Road data exchange system. This public sector data exchange facility was created in 2017 between Finland and Estonia. Depending really on the future policy decisions, hopefully, cross-border data exchange will soon become possible between all European countries. This is why we are encouraging other countries and governments to follow suit. As Estonians, we can't wait to have similar e-service possibilities connected with other countries too. So as we are already nearing the end of this presentation, these were some of the points to bear in mind for your digital journey. Digitalization is a never-ending and I would even argue inevitable process. Do you remember my comment from the beginning of this presentation that stated, if you want future money, make simple environments? We Estonians believe it to be true, as we have the most unicorns per capita. And similarly, I would also say, if you want a digital society, make simple, user-friendly solutions. Estonia can back this up with our own experience in going digital. Be boldest to have the governmental and public services as accessible as any iPhone application. Thank you so much for the interest in Estonia's digital society. And this was my brief overview about e-governance in the experience of Estonia. Thank you so much for listening.